Is it possible to start out in property with absolutely nothing? Many of you may feel that you need to have thousands in the bank before you can even consider a property investment or development, but that's not the case. Despite popular consensus and the economic woes that we are going through at the moment, we are still living in one of the wealthiest nations in the world, and there are many people out there with a lot of money to invest. In fact, for some investors, the small developments that you would be looking for are too small to yield the type of profits that they would be looking for, and they often prefer to look for larger investments. That doesn't mean that your investment as a business proposal won't be of interest to them, because for an investor to be able to invest 50 or 100,000 pounds and get a return of perhaps 50% on that on top within a year, secured against bricks and mortar, it's an appealing investment. The only thing that you need to do is to convince them that you are worthy of them investing in you and your project. So what do you need to do? Firstly, you need to conduct your research and learn your market. If you're starting out, you're not going to be looking for a block conversion in Chelsea. You may be looking for the renovation of a two up, two down somewhere in the Midlands or in the Northeast or wherever that may be. It doesn't matter. It's about finding the happy medium when you conduct your research between the potential uplift in value against the overall cost of the project. And if the overall cost of the project is lower, that means that you will be seeking a smaller investment in the first place, which will be easier for you to achieve. So once you've chosen your preferred location or locations, you need to understand the market in that location inside out. What is the demand? How long is the average property on the market? All of the local issues. Are there particular streets where there are problems and you may not be able to sell a property? What is the difference between a rough or derelict property with an EPC of an E against a similar property that is completely renovated and top spec with an EPC of a B or a C? What is the demand? What is the rental value, etc., etc.? You need to actually find out all of these, and as you're conducting your research, you need to take notes and document it. If you see any properties that are being renovated, pop in, speak to the builders, ask a few questions. Don't overdo it, but try and learn as much as you possibly can. And from that point, what I would suggest before you do anything is to have what I would call a dress rehearsal. Pick one or two properties that are suitable candidates, go and view them, document it all with lots and lots of photographs, start conducting your research and start to prepare an investment proposal summary. Try to cover everything that you can think of, and then get advice and listen to that advice, because what you want with your dress rehearsals is you want people in the know to literally tear them to shreds and find every fault that they can so that you can improve it. Because when you are going to put a proposal before an investor, it must be perfect. You must demonstrate that you have thought of everything, the costings, the time frame, a SWOT analysis, everything that you possibly can. For example, here's one that catches a lot of developers unawares. It's a simple thing. The water supply to a lot of older terraced houses are or were by way of a lead pipe. It's actually illegal to sell on a property with a water supply into the house being via a lead pipe, and you need to replace that. But although the actual piping itself from the rear of the house, where the kitchen is normally in a terrace property, to the street might not be so horrendous, what may catch you out is that you then need to contact the water board to connect that pipe to the main supply, and therein can be the problem, because it can take weeks and weeks for them to actually arrange to do that, and it can cost upwards of £1,500 for them to just dig a little channel like this from the front of your house to the supply to connect it. If you have taken this into consideration, established if there is or is not a lead pipe at the property, and obviously because you have considered it, that means that the first thing you will do is to actually arrange to have that connection made. Then it's in the pipeline, pardon the pun, it will be done. So you're not going to get to a point where the property's finished and then you're sat around waiting for the water authority to connect your water. Even if it is not, even if the supply is not with a lead pipe, the fact that you have checked and you have documented it in your summary means that you have considered something that a lot of developers do not even think about. That is what will make you stand out before the eyes of any potential investor. So if you conduct everything properly, there is absolutely no reason that you should not be able to do it. Is it easy? No, of course it's not easy. It's difficult. You may have to knock on many doors before you actually find someone willing to invest in you and your project. But in the meantime, what you can do is you can try to network. You could possibly join something like the Baker Street Property Meet. They meet once a month in London. If you are quite a distance from there, I appreciate there's a cost involved with transport and the cost of the ticket and so on, but in the order of things, the cost of it is nothing, because it is an investment in you and your future. And although you will be rubbing shoulders with people who are many steps ahead of you, that doesn't matter, because in that environment people will be happy to share their knowledge with you, their experience with you, to give you some words of advice, introduce you to people. And there are people there who are looking for opportunities to invest, and you never know who you're going to meet. So why am I so passionate about this? I'll tell you why. Because unlike the large developers who are either buying land and just building entire housing estates, or knocking down buildings to build new flats, sometimes they're nice, sometimes they're not, whatever the case may be, smaller developers are normally taking derelict or property that's in poor condition and turning it into beautiful homes. Throughout the country there are hundreds of thousands of properties that are either derelict, very poor condition, uninhabited, the EPC rating is too low for them to be rented out, and nothing is done about them because the big developers are not interested. This is where I feel very strongly about the 3% stamp duty surcharge introduced by George Osborne, because those who invariably suffer the most as a result are the small developers, because the larger developers often buy either multiple dwelling residences, conversion, commercial to residential conversions, or land, or they're buying multiple units of 6 or more where they don't need to pay it. But that 3% can make quite a difference to the small investor, but unfortunately it's there. There isn't a great deal that you can do about it apart from factor it into your costs. But the more small developers that actually can raise the money and improve the hundreds of thousands of properties that are available and sat around languishing, doing nothing throughout the country, the more property will be available for people to live in. Whether you then take that property and sell it on, or exit to buy to let and rent it, doesn't matter. You will be taking a home that is either unfit for use, or maybe it's inhabited by people who are actually suffering because they're living in squalid conditions, and you will be turning it into a beautiful home with a good energy performance that will cost far less to run. So that's why I feel so passionate about it. In the near future, I'm going to put together a investment proposal summary worksheet. I'll include questions about everything that I can think of that you should ask yourself or you should research, and hopefully if you research, if you work your way through it all, you'll be well on the way to preparing your first investment proposal. I hope that this will be helpful to you. I will obviously go into everything in more detail in later videos, but I thought I would start from the very bottom, elementary, and going forward I'm hoping to cover everything. As always, if you have any questions, you can email me, the link attached with this, the details attached with this video, and I will see you next time.